Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy Show. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Apple. We again have all our reels going up every week, and they're blowing up. We're getting 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 views per reel. It's absolutely crazy. A lot of them are just little 60-second fun things. But anyway, it's an exciting week, Govy. We just finished the Super Bowl. I thought it was kind of a boring game. I didn't love it. And I do have a question for you on betting. But let me ask you first, what you think of the halftime show?
The halftime show, I thought it was horrible.
Yeah, I did too.
I mean, it's I don't mind Usher, but I'm just really not a super Usher fan.
But he's coming off of Beyonce. Bruno Mars was the best.
Prince was great.
Prince was unbelievable. I think Usher, every single thought he ever had in his life, he tried to cram into that show. And, I mean, you can have the biggest person ever. I guess Usher's pretty big, but I didn't think it was a good show.
Supposedly, if you were at the stadium, that the show that you saw there was really bad. Like it was made for television. It wasn't made for if you were there. If you were there, they just thought it was like, just the venue. It was too big. You couldn't see certain things. They actually staged it for television, and I still didn't like it.
You know, I put in a suggestion of Jelly Roll, the guy that sings our opening song. Your main guy. He should have been on it.
He would have been great.
He would have been great.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? Let me ask you, since you're bringing up music of the Super Bowl, and I know that I'm just going to jump ahead.
Jump right in.
You're not even prepared for this.
No,
You're
not
prepared for this question.
No.
So it's off the cuff for you.
Go ahead.
What do you think about this? The extra national anthem, the Black national anthem.
You know, it's just a tough subject. I don't know where I fall down on it. When I watch something like the Super Bowl, and I watched it at my sister and brother-in-law's house, and I watched it with all the kids, and we rated. You know, my rating on the halftime show was a 6.
Did you even know this was the Black national anthem when it was starting?
I did.
Okay,
I did. Yeah, but I don't know. I try and look at it like a spectator or viewer, and, I quickly rate this stuff. We all rate it. My sister's son, Eric, is a big musician. So he rated the halftime show at an 8. We rated the national anthem at a 7. So, it's fun as a viewer. What did you think?
I thought Post Malone was great, his version on,
right.
America. I thought the Black national anthem, I think that they have to educate people that, first of all, that it is a national anthem, and then put like the words underneath. Like, let people start to know it if that's what you want to get across. But by seeing a Black national anthem on the NBA Finals or a Super Bowl 3 times a year, people aren't going to really know what it is. And I'm not really for it, to be honest with you.
So let me ask you a controversial question.
Divides the country.
Do you think that they did it so it doesn't so there isn't a protest for the national anthem where somebody doesn't take a knee or somebody doesn't contribute because they're showing all venues? Maybe it's a way of opening it up a little.
But there were some fights that some people didn't.
It is true
that some people didn't stand.
Yeah,
there were some fights that some white people did not stand for this, and
which is bad.
And but they didn't even know. But sometimes if you're in the stadium, you don't even know it's the national anthem.
Right.
There's so many acts coming up, but.
The Super Bowl's hype. Of course, we had Taylor Swift. I like Taylor Swift. I don't think she should. I think it should be about the players, the coaches, the preparation, the game. I don't want to see Taylor Swift. I don't want to prop bet that she's going to be shown 7 times. I don't want to see her on the field after the game kissing and hugging, her boyfriend. I just, and then, of course, there was Kanye West, right below Taylor Swift.
Yeah, well, I think there were some rumors that she tried to boot him out of the seats.
Well, I'm glad he's a pariah. I mean, He deserves to be a pariah.
One thing they said about Taylor Swift, she's been to more Super Bowls than the Dallas Cowboys have since 1996. Do you know that?
Well, I have a problem, with her and the green agenda, and she flies in a Global Express halfway around the world to get to a football game. Everybody does. that airfield was loaded. You couldn't park another plane there.
She had to, she had to land in Los Angeles and drive over.
Yeah, but I have a problem. How
Or a
do you,
helicopter, maybe a helicopter.
How do you have this whole green agenda and fly halfway around the world in a giant plane that holds 25 or 50 people by yourself or with her crew or whoever was on it, and talk?
Because it's do as I say, not as I do. Just like Joe Biden has TikTok.
So this is my question for Govy, because he is almost a professional referee. If I'm betting the under-over, which means if I'm betting 47 points, the total score of both teams is going to be 47 points. And I haven't asked you this before today, so you're on the spot, Govy. If the total under-over is 47, and before overtime, the total of the two teams is 42, and then after overtime, it's 49. Do I win my bet or do I lose my bet?
If you have over, you win the bet.
If I have so my question is, when I bet 47, let's say I bet under 40.
It's the end of the game, whatever the final score.
But how can I know whether the game's going to last 4 quarters, 5, or 6?
That's the breaks.
How's that the breaks? I'm betting it to be regulation.
I'll give you an example. In college football, each team gets the ball back and forth, and you can keep scoring. So you could have an over-under that's 47, and the final score could be 10-10. And you think, wow, was I a genius to take the under? It's 20 points. But then the two teams could keep scoring back and forth, and the final score could be 65 to 63 or something like that, or 62, and the game went over. All because of the overtime, and you lost.
I understand, but I don't mean to beat a dead horse. But I'm looking at a game, and I'm betting the total score is going to be less than 47. And the total score within the 4 quarters of
But you're not betting 4 quarters. You're betting the game. The game is however long it takes. In the Super Bowl or playoffs, it's not even just one overtime. In the regular season, it's a 10-minute quarter. Here, you go until it goes.
So what you think of Travis Kelce molesting his head coach, Andy Reid? I mean, he literally ran into him and pushed him.
Well, in the era of a two-tier justice system that we're living in right now, this is a two-tier justice system of the NFL, the hierarchy of players. If that was a backup tight end that did that, he would probably have been sent to the locker room, and he probably would be cut this morning. It would be over.
I would cut him right now.
But
I don't care if he's the best player on the team.
No. Travis Kelce.
I trade him.
No, because he has meaning. He sat down. There's a whole history there that.
What kind of history? It's called a team sport. It's a team sport.
He was wrong. And
so wait, for our almost, I think we're over 400,000 listeners now. I'm not quite sure. I have to check on it. But for those who didn't see it, Travis Kelce went up to Andy Reid because he had only gotten one
yard, one catch, 1 yard.
One catch, 1 yard, that far into the game. His girlfriend, Taylor Swift, is sitting there. He needs to show off.
That had something to do with it.
Yeah, needs to show off. He was pissed off he wasn't getting the ball. Pissed off. He goes up to the coach, who's coaching a game. He has his clipboard. He's concentrating on a full game. And he goes up to the coach, shoves him, and yells at him that he's not getting enough balls. Now, it's a team sport.
It's
You're okay with it because Andy Reid's a pussy. He apologized. He said, well, he didn't really push me. I tripped because I'm 480 pounds. I wasn't on my feet.
I think, if anything, sports is the perfect example of a two-tier system. It's an unwritten rule. I don't care if it's hockey, baseball, football, basketball. If it's LeBron James, he gets to do certain things that someone else doesn't do. Travis Kelce, first of all,
it's different. In basketball's 5 players. Football's 46.
But here's the difference. Travis Kelce his brother, Jason Kelce, was drafted by Andy Reid for the Eagles. Andy Reid loves Jason Kelce. When it came time to drafting Travis Kelce, Andy Reid asked Jason about him and gave him great things. The guy has basically, in the last 8 years, 1,000 yards each year.
Doesn't matter. What happens if a backup tight end does that?
Well,
Shouldn't he at least get fined $250,000 or some penalty?
well, it's hard to find a guy that brought $310 million to the Kansas City Chiefs because of Taylor Swift. And let's just say one thing. Kansas City, when he did that, was losing 10-0. And he had one I'm just saying. And
I understand.
afterwards, he ended up with 11 receptions and 93 yards, and they won the game.
But Andy Reid knows his player's not getting the ball. I mean, he's aware of it. He has headphones on.
Andy
his
Reid
coaches
doesn't know how to sometimes call timeouts. I mean, Andy Reid maybe needed a little push to say, hey, by the way, you have the greatest tight end in playoff football history on your team, and he has one reception for 1 yard. Maybe he just needed a little nudge just to say, don't forget me.
All right, so what happens next year when a defensive end does something like that? Does Andy Reid reprimand him? Let's say it's just another player that goes up to Andy Reid, like a Terrell Owens.
Yeah, because you got to say, what have you done for the Kansas City Chiefs? If you're just, there's a football player, this guy, Tony, who played for the New York Giants earlier and played last year for 4 games for Kansas City. Matter of fact, he was the guy that returned the punt against the Philadelphia Eagles. That was the big return that set up a touchdown the Eagles lost. Well, this year, there was a crazy play that Travis Kelce threw a ball, and it was maybe the play of the year in the NFL, but it was ruled offsides because Tony lined up offsides. Like a brain dead decision that he lined up offsides. Andy Reid benched him for the rest of the season, the last 5 games of the season.
For just that play.
Just that play. And matter of fact, he put him on the injured list. And the week before the Super Bowl, 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, Tony went up and said, I'm not really hurt. I don't know why. Like he exposed. So what Andy Reid did is he made sure he wasn't ready for the Super Bowl. He then said, I'm not taking this crap. And Tony will not be on the Kansas City Chiefs next year.
Well,
so it depends who you are.
Yeah, it is a 2-tiered system if that's the case.
I mean, you think Mahomes is really worried about anything he does? No. But like his brother told him, it can't happen because it's just, he's a role model to kids. Can you imagine little kids doing that to in high school or college?
Right.
So, you have to take the responsibility of who he's with.
So my question now is, getting past that issue, do you think Kansas City is a dynasty? I mean, now they've been in the Super Bowl, 4 times? They're
yes.
2 in a row. First in 20.
I think they are a modern era dynasty because it's with free agency going and teams going, they're a dynasty.
So if they get into it, if they can win next year, it's 3 in a row, 3-peat, which is impossible to do. I mean, literally, the odds are stacked against them. Well, they were stacked against them this year. They weren't favored at the beginning of the year. But Andy Reid could be one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Look
at Bill Belichick. He still hasn't gotten a job.
No, but Bill Belichick had Tom Brady.
Right.
Andy Reid has Mahomes. Just to give you a little thing how life is funny. But the Buffalo Bills have lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, 3 years in a row in the AFC Championship game?
Love the Bills, by the way.
Okay, so the Buffalo Bills traded the 10th pick in the draft 5 years ago to the Kansas City Chiefs. And Kansas City, in return for moving up to get the 10th pick in the draft, gave Buffalo 3 players. Those 3 players all ended up being Pro Bowl players. So that's a great deal. You got 3 Pro Bowl players for this 10th pick, except that 10th pick was Mahomes.
Wow.
So the one person they chose that Kansas City picked is the sole reason why Kansas City beat Buffalo for 3 years in a row.
I don't know his history. Where did he go to college, Mahomes?
I think Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. All right. So look, he was great. Was he the MVP or Kelce was the MVP of the game? Who was the MVP?
Mahomes.
Mahomes was, yeah. All right, I guess he's in Disney World this week.
He went to Disneyland. It was
Disneyland with his kids, right?
Yeah. Do you think if you spent $5,000 dollars to see Taylor Swift in Japan. Do you think she's giving you an all-out performance when she comes back? I'm sorry, in Australia now.
Right.
Jet lag. Do you think she's giving you a great performance?
It's just hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine somebody could fly that much for one day.
Do they even get jet lagged?
Oh my God, they have to. I mean, you have to. Plus, not all you look. You've traveled around the world for your business. I mean, you know what time zone change does to you. Forget just the traveling.
Hard coming back.
Even when you go to California, the 3 hours screw you up.
Japan, it's 14 hours. So
no, that just turns your world upside.
And she stayed up and partied until 5:30 in the morning.
And probably had sex with the guy all night long, right?
I don't know. All I know is that's the difference of 34 years old.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about that, let's talk about Joe Biden and his age. That is a big, big subject this week. Ben, what are you laughing at? You like that segue? The way
that was a really smooth
well,
segue.
I'm a podcast superstar now, so it's easy
that's
for
called
me.
a bridge in our industry.
It's easy for me. He talked about age. He set me up like I was going for the basket. I grabbed it and I went boom right in. I mean, let me. I'll give you my comment first. And my comment is, if you are president of the forget anything other than, I'm not even going to comment on Joe Biden and his politics and all that. If you are president of the United States, you have the hardest job in the world. Mm-hmm. You have to be, you're probably scheduled every 15 minutes. You have to be at 110% at all times. You can't, with his cognitive decline that you can noticeably see from his debates to now, debates when he ran. I see it with my dad. My dad 2 years ago looked exactly like Joe Biden. He walked like him, he stared like him, and he spoke like him. 2 years later, my dad doesn't know he's 94 now, doesn't know who I am, and he's in a wheelchair and can't do anything for himself. That's where Joe Biden's headed. So I just don't think it's fair to you and I, taxpayers, Americans, all the kids in the Army, that you have a president, leader of the free world, that is not at 110%. That's my feeling.
Well, I just think that, first of all, politics, I think everything is language. How you say things and the vocabulary. So, for instance, the Democrats, they want to use age, that he's okay, because if you used age, then Trump comes into it because he is 77 years old. So you can't say someone's too old and then another guy's 4 years. Republicans don't want to use age either. They want to say it's the ability, because let's face it, you could be Warren Buffett at 80 years old was sharp as a tack. I don't know how old Warren Buffett is.
92 or 3
okay,
or 4.
But at 80, he was fine.
Yeah, and he still is today.
Joe Biden, you can look at tapes right now of him just 2 years ago. He is completely different than he was. Right now, he is unsure of himself. He's jockeying up there. He's a deer in the headlights. And the big thing that's coming out, that's being pushed right now, that has nothing to do, it's not age. It's that when they gave, the Department of Justice said that mentally he cannot stand trial. He is mentally not capable to stand trial for his defense. Then you can't run the United States. It's one or the other. It's his Department of Justice. You can't say we're not going to convict him, even though he's guilty, because it's not fair to him to stand trial. Yet, he's okay to run the United States. You can't have it both ways.
Well, the simple fact that he won't take a cognitive test or do a press conference just is unfair. I mean, he has all the Democrats coming out defending him.
Not all. They're starting. You're starting to see the cracks, because you don't want, if you're a Democrat, you don't want to, by the way, you don't want to be on the wrong side of history with this guy. I mean, there's some stuff that can come up that you're sitting there saying, he does in 1 hour what what Cutty does in.
So let's say you're JP, the press secretary. Don't you think it's malpractice? She's with the guy every day. For her to go up there and say he's great, he does more in one day than I do in a week, if in fact she knows he's like a babbling idiot. I mean, it's malpractice. It's not fair to us. We are Americans. He is the one that's protecting us. Donald Trump said at the beginning of his, or maybe it was George Bush, one of the presidents said, my number one job is to protect the...
Trump said that.
Yeah, Trump, my number one job is to protect all the Americans. How can this guy protect us if he can't figure it out?
Well, he's not. And one of the things that's interesting is, right now, since everybody's trying to protect him with that he's okay, that he doesn't need to take this test. But then you got to answer a question. You can't get up there and say, I'm not going to take any questions, because now everybody wants to see him how he is on his feet. So he's going to have to start taking questions. They're not going to be able to hide them, because then everybody has their answer. The other thing that you have to say is, KGP, do you think there's a responsibility? And Mayorkas, we'll come back to him. He got impeached because you can't go up to the American people and say the border is secure. Everybody has said it. I mean, you can watch the tapes. The border is secure. The border is secure. Kamala Harris.
You
the
don't
border
think
is
it's
secure.
secure?
Not when you have these people. You're showing you the gate. You're watching people walking in. When you have
Drugs.
When you have 350,000 people coming through the border in the month of December, when you have 25,000 Chinese coming in, drugs.
How about
gangs.
Gangs,
New
drugs.
York has a gang problem right now. I mean, so no one's secure. And by the way, there's no game plan. When they, like Joe Biden, if he would get up there and say, I need these people to come through. If he would say to you, okay, these people are going to come in the United States. Here's where we're going to put them. Then we got the schools lined up for the kids. Instead, there's nothing. It's like they can't work. And by the way, if you ever listened to Joe Biden talk years ago, he was not for federally helping states. This is a state problem, that's sanctuary. So if you are a sanctuary state, you can't ask the federal government for help. That's why Adams and the governor of Colorado, they're asking for federal help. But you can't, because it's in the law that you can't get federal help if you're being a sanctuary city. It's not fair to make someone in Mississippi pay for your choices.
Yeah, I just think it's really, I think what Donald Trump should do. If I was Don, if I'm giving you any advice.
Keep quiet on certain things.
No, Don, let me give you some advice for your campaign. You should go up there and say, so many Americans in our country have parents that have this problem, and it's very unfortunate. And we, as children of our parents, really need to take care of them, because at this point in their life, they can't make the hard decisions. We have to make it for. So Don should go, or President Trump should be very sympathetic, give a message of sympathy to Joe Biden's conditions, just not call him a moron or an idiot or what the hell's he doing. Be sympathetic to his condition and say, look, it's just like in baseball where they go out to the mound and take the ball away from the pitcher and say, slap him on the ass and say, time to go to the bullpen.
Are you're out of the game. Someone to call in for the thing?
You're out of the game. Right. I mean, game's over for you. We'll see you.
Well, the problem is Joe Biden's relief pitcher is not Mariano Rivera. It's Kamala Harris.
Well,
which is like, that's not exactly a Hall of Fame relief pitcher.
I understand. He picked her for a reason.
And I want to just say one thing with the illegal immigrants that are coming in. If this spells it out crystal clear today. Today, Mayor Adams got on TV. I don't even know.
Mayor of New York.
Mayor of New York. I don't know if you know this. One of the guys that were beating up the police officers, one of these guys from
it happened last week, an incident. 3 immigrants or 4 or 5 were beating up.
But there was like 12 and they couldn't catch them all.
Well, some were trying to pull the guys off, I saw.
Yeah, but they couldn't catch them all. They now. Right. So one of the guys that got away that they're looking for gets arrested yesterday. He gets arrested for shoplifting at, I believe, like CVS or something in the city, and got into a confrontation with the security guard and started punching the security guard, and they arrested him. So now they got the guy. It's strike 2. It's front page of the New York Post. You'll see it on the digital for him. So Mayor Adams said, under the laws of New York from the 1980s during the sanctuary city, they can't turn him over to ICE, cannot turn him over to ICE. They can't deport him.
But this guy won't survive in jail. They'll kill him in jail, won't they?
And he still gets to get the laws where he has no cash bail and he's back out there again. And we're giving him board. The law is we must.
Well, it's pathetic.
New York must supply room and board to who wants to come here. So now he's on strike too. At a certain point, how does the mayor sit there and he's saying to you, he's coming to you saying, how am we supposed to get this guy out of the country?
Because they're going to leave his jail cell open and they're going to kill him in
he's
jail.
He's not arrested though, because there's no cash bail.
Oh, he's not even arrested?
Not this. The guy that actually assaulted the police.
Oh.
I'm saying this guy that just.
Yeah.
He's not arrested. So now what do you do? How many times can he?
Well, I have a question for you. You just gave me another pitch. This week I saw, at Joel Osteen, the super church in Texas, they claim a woman came in with a rifle and a trench coat and shot up the church.
Transgender.
She's transgender. She's male. She's woman. What jail does she go to? She shot up. They killed her. They killed her. If they didn't kill her, what jail?
But they didn't want to say that she was transgender. Do you know why they don't want to tell you that it was transgender that it came out?
Why?
Because in the Tennessee shooting with the little kids in that school and the church thing, they were transgender too. So there could be something, there could be something going on chemically imbalancing that's going on. And she also had Palestine on her thing.
So she was a woman that became a man or a man that became a woman?
Man that became a woman.
Man that became a woman. It's just
Or
so
a woman
crazy.
that became a man, because I think she had a kid. Her kid died.
Yeah. The 7-year-old was her kid? I didn't know it was her kid.
I thought it was.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's a mess. Well, since we're on, such gory stuff, let's talk about some fun stuff. Valentine's Day. That's today, folks. And my personal opinion, and I'm probably going to get a lot of haters here from the women, is it's a Hallmark holiday. I mean, I wrote it down, ladies. You get Valentine's Day, your birthday, your anniversary, Christmas, Mother's Day, if you're fortunate enough to have a kid. I mean, you're getting a lot of stuff here. Now they're putting this Valentine's Day on. What do you think, Govy? Well, you're in the jewelry business. You must love it.
How about a push present?
A push present. Yeah, I'll have to put. But you're in the jewelry business. You must love Valentine's Day. It's great.
Actually, I'm not a fan of Valentine's Day. I mean, it's a great holiday for Hallmark and for.
How much is a card these days? I didn't buy any this year. I don't have a Valentine.
I think I bought one like 3 years ago.
Right.
I think they're over $10. I think they're way over $10.
That's inflation.
If you think that it's like 50 cents, you're wrong.
Inflation.
But by the way, I wonder if they can recirculate some of this stuff on Hallmarks and say that was a good one. Just keep reusing it.
We could.
But I've never liked Valentine's Day. It goes back to when I was 18 years old and I refused to give a Valentine's Day card. And my girlfriend at the time went out at 6 o'clock and got the second to last card in the card store and gave it to me and said, I don't want one from you now. It's too late. So
Nice.
I ran to that card store and I got the last card in there. But I didn't know it. But the card, the person on the cover of the card was an African American. And she said, you didn't even give it any thought. And I said, but I didn't have a choice.
Right.
It was like it's the last card in the thing. I just think.
Well, let me interview you, just like as if you're a guest on the show. Govy has been in the jewelry business 40 years. 40 years of your life, you've been one of the top jewelers in the country. When you rate these holidays, the Christmas, the birthday, the anniversary, what's the number one holiday / occasion for a jewelry gift? Is it a birthday?
No, it depends
It can't be Valentine's Day. Guys would be broke if they had to go home.
I'm going to tell you something. It's interesting. I would say that it depends on. I find Jewish people.
Okay.
Jewish people. Mother's Day is the number one. Is the number one gift. I don't know if it's guilt or not, but Mother's Day is a really big gift that the guys come in. Husbands come in and buy a really big Mother's Day gift.
I usually buy a vacuum cleaner.
And a lot of clients of mine that are not Jews, they always say, she's not my mother.
That's
so
funny.
they don't really go crazy because it's not their mother.
But so
Jewish people buy a gift. But that being said,
that's the number one restaurant day too, because mothers don't cook on that.
Right.
It's
right.
a
Father's
night
Day,
off.
you're at the barbecue.
Right.
But that's one thing. It's what I find interesting.
So if I have a budget, let's say I'm wealthy, and I'm going to spend $5,000 a year on my wife for jewelry or gifts. You're saying I'm going to spend that $5,000, most of that, on Mother's Day?
You're going to spend the majority. You're going to spend half of it on Mother's Day.
Wow.
And then you're going to spend a quarter on Christmas, quarter on birthday, maybe.
Wow. How about anniversary?
Well, then maybe you'll have to get that's the whole thing. You need a little bit more.
Have to borrow some money.
You got to
for
borrow
the
some money. But I'm going to tell you something interesting. I always see the person that comes in and looks around and wants to buy Valentine's Day gifts, and he comes in January 5th, and he's looking for a Valentine's Day gift. And he comes in 3 times, and it means a lot to him. He wants to get the perfect.
So that's a month and a half before today.
A month and a half before
Okay.
today. And he comes out and he picks out the gift he has, and maybe he spends, $1,000.
Yeah.
Then there's the guy that comes in, if we close at, say, 5:30 on Valentine's Day, he comes in at 5:28.
Right.
He actually tells you, boy, I'm glad you're open. I was just driving past there. Let me come in
Do you
here.
mark that up?
No,
because
a
he's
gift-
in a jam.
No,
you're going to get more.
But a gift doesn't show time when you purchase it. So he could come in and spend $10,000. And when he presents that gift, it doesn't say he came in at 5:28 on Valentine's Day. All he knows is his Valentine's looks at that gift and says, you must have put so much thought to it. And he said, I did. It was unbelievable. And he gets all this hugging and loving. And the guy that really put all that time in, she can say, I don't need that. I already have 3 of these.
So now he has to give her the return receipt that would have the date on it. Right?
No, it's in the computer. No, there's no date. It doesn't have anything like that. It's just a date. And by the way,
He's busted.
He's not busted, but you do get to see You get to see the guy that comes in,
panicked.
and then you see the guy that's just strolling in, and
Well, how about this thing I'm reading today about chocolates? Chocolates are up like 100% in a year. Do you buy chocolates for Valentine's Day? Do you buy flowers? I was in Whole Foods yesterday. The whole flower department was insane. They were selling flowers like crazy.
flowers, chocolates. But you know what? I'll tell you how things have changed. Do you remember when you were in grade school?
No, it's turn of the century.
Okay, but grade school, I remember like first grade, second grade, and it was Valentine's Day. And, your mom took you out to the store so you could buy your Valentine's.
Right, I
and
remember
you sat there
that.
and you wrote to Sally and Karen and Robin and all these different people, and you gave your Valentines to. And then there was always that person in the classroom that got like 2 Valentines. Everybody else got like, supposedly if there's 25 kids in the class, everybody should walk away with lots of Valentines.
Sure.
But then there was that one kid that no one decided. There was no one telling you everybody gets one. It was like give if you want to. And then the feelings got hurt. So today they did away with that. Because you can't have, just like it's participation. It's like if you're going to have a Valentine's, you have to have everybody participating. So the whole holiday has changed from what it really is supposed to be.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that it just, for me, geographically, it just has a different feeling down here than it does up north. I don't know why. It just seems
More or
like,
less.
I think it's so casual down here. It's like not even. I didn't even like. I wasn't even clued in.
Do you think there's a difference if your Valentine,
Maybe
your
'cause
wife,
go ahead.
if her birthday is 5 days before Valentine's Day or 5 days after, do you combine the gift or do you say this is Valentine's and I got something else?
Oh no, you're a complete winner. In my book,
You're a winner?
Yeah. If it's like within a couple days, that's one
do-
gift. Yeah, you're covered.
I think you're wrong.
No, you're covered.
No,
You
I
have
think
one
I think
gift
there's a lot of
within
women
a
out there
co-
that don't think that way.
I'm sorry, that's the way it's got to be. Well, the way you have to do is
so you stipulate that?
yes, you establish that up front. Well, your birthday is February 10th. Valentine's Day is February 14th.
So you say this is for Valentine's and your birthday.
Yes, it's one gift. That's it.
So you have to say you have to make that
no,
comment.
you're stating it. You're stating it. Now, I wonder if
How about dinner? Do you go out to dinner on Valentine's and then her birthday, or is it just one meal?
I think it's one. Well, no, wait. I think that's a great question because. So I'm going to flip the question around. Valentine's Day is today, Wednesday. Do you celebrate it tonight on a school night, or do you celebrate it on Friday or Saturday night? What night is Valentine's? Or you can't possibly go out all 3 nights, right?
Right. Sometimes it's a weekend before. This is a great day, I guess, for a restaurant because they get that free.
Do you think tonight will be busy at the restaurant?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Wow.
There's a lot of like Gen Zs and X's that this is like. Listen, that's why you get to know. Why do you think there's so many November babies?
Oh, you back it up and there's no.
February, Valentine's Day.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, that's how.
Look, he's in the jewelry business.
There
He
you
knows
go.
that. He knows
Valentine's
the thing.
Day.
I got it.
But I just want to know if you take 2 dinners, and if you have that, if you say yes, I'll go out for 2 dinners.
I think it's one dinner. Pick your date. It's either Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday. And is it next weekend or last weekend? Which Friday and Saturday? The weekend before? Get a preemptive Valentine stoppen, or
Well, how do you know she doesn't go up to you and say, pick a date? You only get one.
well,
Do
I
you- do
think
you
the
want-
guy's got to
do you-
leverage it in because she's going to have
Do you want
sex
2?
both
do you
times.
Want, do you want 2?
Yeah.
Or do you want her to say you only get one?
No,
pick a
no.
date that you want.
I think what you do is no. It's a good point. No, it's an excellent point. I think maybe one of the days, like the weekend, you give her a card. So you get and then on Valentine's Day you give her the gift.
Okay.
All right. So now you're covering both bases.
What happens if she says, by the way, if she says to you, thank you for the card. I'll catch you on the weekend and I'll give you the rest of the gift on
Then
Saturday.
you have to reevaluate your marriage vows.
I'm
and
just not really a fan of Valentine's Day. I just think that look, Mother's Day, I understand. Listen,
Mother's
I have
Day
the,
is
and I have
Mother-
the
it's-
Jewish guilt there that you have Mother's Day, but it's I'm a birthday, Christmas, Hanukkah, but not.
Valentine's Day, it just seems that the girls are very, the whole red thing. They're very,
mean, what's
I
gonna
kind
be-
of wore my. I
what's
didn't have
gonna be
red.
next?
This is what I wore.
Is there Grandmother's Day now?
Yeah, it goes on.
There is a Grandmother's Day.
Yeah, at school. There's always a Grandmother's Day at school. But anyway, we wanted to talk. You wanted to.
I wanted to talk to you about a guy's
Bobolinsky,
name.
or-
Yeah, I want to talk about this guy's
All right.
name, Tony Bobolinsky.
Okay, I think that's a fun name to say.
It is.
Bobolinsky.
It is. That's why I love it.
I like
TB,
it.
like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
This is the TB
Yeah,
of this year.
Bobolinsky. Say it 5 times. Bobolinsky. Bobolinsky.
I know.
Bobolinsky.
It's a great name, and this guy is going to bring
All right.
down.
So give a little foundation to our 300,000 listening.
Tony
audience.
Bobolinsky worked with Hunter Biden and the Chinese. He was the guy that before the election took place, went to the FBI, said that Joe Biden is
So is he a whistleblower?
He's a whistleblower.
Okay.
He is a whistleblower. He said that he's the big guy. He took money from China. The 51 Secret Service, the CIA guys from Brennan on down, they all said that that's not true. Twitter at the time when Jack Dorsey owned it, they blocked it. Facebook blocked it. They kept saying that this Bobolinsky, his story has not changed. at all, under oath. He goes to jail if he lied.
And everything he said about Hunter Biden's laptop came
100% true. Everything about the money, everything that Joe Biden met with these people has come out that he's now met with them. His story hasn't changed, and he goes to jail if he gets caught lying. The people's story who has changed is the CIA, Facebook, Joe Biden, Jim Biden, Hunter Biden. All their stories keep changing.
Maybe this is Joe Biden's defense. If they absolutely get him in a deposition, he can say now he doesn't recall. This is what the special counsel said. The guy has a cognitive problem, and maybe he says that now. Maybe this is his defense.
By the way, I think that when Garland talks to Joe Biden, because everybody's talking about he should get rid of Garland because he's so unfair, when it's so ridiculous how over the top Garland is for Biden. That is his personal, even he made a speech that he's not my personal lawyer, defense person, but he is. I think Garland's going to pull Joe Biden aside and he's going to say, we're saving your career here. You're going to go away in the sunset. That is your defense. You can say, I don't recall. You will not go to jail. You won't be prosecuted. And that's your gift. Walk away.
But what are they?
Walk away.
Yeah, but what's he do now? Besides all that other stuff, he has all this nonsense that they're saying he stole the money with his son. So he has two things going against him now, where he has the cognitive decline, where he has to step down because he's not able to handle the job.
Well,
plus, he's got a crime.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hunter Biden just tried to get his gun case thrown out by saying that he was not under the influence of drugs when he went for his gun permit. But the Department of Justice has proof now that they actually, from his laptop and from his cell phone, they show you him doing drugs because he videotaped himself like crazy.
What an idiot! This guy's a complete moron.
And with the dates,
didn't he go to Yale Law School or something?
He did. And
Jesus Christ!
Right. So they now know that he can't use that as a defense. That he was under the influence of drugs when he went for the drug permit. So there's a chance that someone could say to Joe, take a breath, step away, pardon Hunter,
pardon your brother.
Pardon your brother. Your last thing in office. We're not going to turn it over to Kamala. You're just not going to run again. And then our decision as the DNC, do we let Kamala Harris run the ticket and get someone else underneath her? Or do we go with two new people? And I think the answer is they're going to go with two new people.
All right, this is my prediction. They're going to do a Spiro Agnew. They're going to come up with dirt on Kamala Harris first, get rid of her. Make her resign because she's guilty of something. I'm sure they have something in their pocket. Then
you just call the Clintons. You can make her disappear.
Yeah, that's true. You should be with the chef. And then you have a new person. You like they did. Gerald Ford put a new person under Joe Biden. Then they get rid of Joe, and then the new person's the president. They will never allow Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States.
So you're saying they get to choose an unelected person to basically...
It happened to Gerald Ford.
It did. He was he's the only unelected president of all time.
I think that's the game plan. I watched this guy, this crazy man, Carville. What's James Carville on the Michael Smirkana show?
He bought a paddock from me.
James Carville?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe he can. I mean,
well, he's married
to Mary Madeline,
who is a diehard Republican.
Yeah, Republican strategist, but he acts like he's such a farmer, and he pays $100,000 for a watch.
Paddock Philippe.
Oh my God, that's a blowaway. That's the most of all week long. That's the biggest statistic he gave me. But he is like such a crazy man. I watched him on the Michael Smirkana show. He's a Philly guy, and he essentially said, Michelle Obama has zero interest in being president of the United States. She's got her $100 million. She's in Hollywood doing movies, documentaries, whatever the hell she's doing. Whether she's a man or a woman, we don't know. She doesn't want that exposed. And he's basically saying he's throwing Joe Biden under the bus. and he's
I think
a Clinton disciple.
But I think people should listen to James Carville. I think the guy is spot on in this case.
He is.
I mean, he doesn't want to tell you that. He doesn't want this to be true. He's just saying, listen, I'd rather speak now than to all of a sudden to him to say, I told you so. He doesn't want to say, I told you so. He's telling you now, replace this guy.
And James Carville was great on the interview, and he doesn't.
He was great for Clinton, by the way.
Yeah, on the interview, he said, "I'm 79 years old. I'm 2 years younger than Joe Biden. I could not do this job." He said, "I've lived in the White House under Clinton. I know the pressures. I know what's going on. It's impossible for him." And this is a big-time Democrat strategist wearing a Patek Philippe watch. I didn't see the watch on him, but I mean,
Yeah.
Crazy. Well,
but don't forget, back in the 90s, early 90s, Bill Clinton was coming into Philadelphia to be with Ed Rendell, meeting Ed Rendell all the time, the DNC. He was coming to Philadelphia like Joe Biden comes to Philadelphia because it's a little pit stop.
Right.
And, who knows?
Maybe he had a girl in Philly, too. Maybe he was visiting somebody. Anyway, let's just circle back. Last week...
Are you saying Ed like girls, too?
Yeah. I think Ed's in dementia land, too. Former mayor of Philadelphia, governor of the state.
I think Governor Rendell is in better shape than Joe Biden right now.
I don't know. They say he's in pretty bad shape, but I haven't seen him in the last couple of years. But anyway, let's just circle back to, last week I said my car was stolen, or 2 weeks ago. And I've had a lot of interaction with the Boca Raton Police Department in the last week because they're trying to find my car. And, of course, I'm under investigation. And they're, asking me all kinds of questions. But anyway, they can't find the car. Car's gone. But the point is, they have this giant sign in the Boca Raton Police Department where I went to pick up my police report. They're looking for new recruits. Guess what a brand new first day officer on the Boca Raton Police Department makes? Take a wild guess. This is besides health benefits, 14-day paid vacation days. Pensions, all that other stuff. Salary, first year.
$70,000.
$86,000. $86,000. So
it goes up every year, right?
Oh yeah. So if the police,
and then you can become a sergeant and all the other stuff.
Yeah, the police officer that took my report when my car was stolen told me, it was a woman, told me that she was making over $150,000 a year with overtime. I mean, and if you're married to a police officer and the other police officer's making $150,000. That's $300,000.
So if you were in New York right now and your territory was the Bronx, and the person that you arrest is going to be let out, and now that you have the gangs, you have MS-13 and all the other gangs that are there that you can't get rid of, as Mayor Adams said, why wouldn't you just come to Florida and take the job?
I think you'd have to. But beyond that, let's say you're in New York, and you know this is the law, and you're involved with a bad guy. Are you going to be in a high-speed chase? Why? What are you going to risk your life in a high-speed chase, or even running down an alley after a guy if you know when you arrest him he's going to be let out?
I would be like,
or if you shoot him, you're going to go to jail.
I would be like one of the three monkeys. See no evil, hear no
right.
evil. I would put my uniform on every morning. And I wouldn't
go to the Dunkin' Donuts.
I wouldn't do a thing. And by the way, even in Florida,
that was funny, Ben.
By the way, if I was a police officer, even in Florida, if I had to be a police officer, because I think they don't get the respect that they should.
Right.
In Florida, they do, but it's just not worth it. What I would do, if I had to go on patrol, I'm just telling you right now, I would stop every single woman that breaks the law, that speeds 8 miles over the speed limit.
That's good looking, you're saying?
No. Oh. That is in a car of a Mercedes, Bentley, Rolls Royce, that I know when I give her the ticket, I can say to her, I'm really sorry, I have to do this. And I know I'm coming home at night because she's not going to kill me. But I am not going to give a ticket to a car that is a Honda with the wheels that are going way down, blackout windows, and I'm going to appear to walk up to them and let them know that I ran the license and it's been I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So I'm coming home at night. So who am I stopping? I'm stopping, Mrs.
So I think you're disqualified to be a candidate for the police academy. I mean, you're not the kind of guy we're looking for.
That get
We're
me off
looking
of-
for a guy that's
Would that
gonna,
get me off of jury duty?
Yeah. No, I think if the secret to get off of jury duty is to get a letter from a urologist that says you have to pee every 15 minutes or half hour and you can't sit in a jury box for longer than that.
Who
And
told you that?
No, I know.
That's experience. That's experience talking.
I heard.
That's really pretty good.
No, yeah, you say you have prostatitis and you can't, sit for more than 15 minutes and you can't sit in a jury box and they have to let you go. It's a proven fact, Govy. It's exactly what happens.
So then the people that were judged by our peers, it's going to be,
right. I'm not one of the peers. I have prostatitis.
By the way, just change one thing. What do you think of the jurists in this country that handle a lot of big cases? Do you think it's our best that we offer that it's our peers?
I think, and I have sat on one jury, and I think everybody tries their best. At least my own personal experience of being in a jury, which was, thank God, only a one-day thing. But everybody really took it seriously. I mean, even the people there that weren't as educated as the other people, they saw it as a civic duty, and they took it pretty seriously.
And why do they come up with sometimes verdicts like, I'm going to give the person $292 million? Like, where is the value of a dollar that they come up with?
I think a lot of it is the judge's instructions, that they really don't understand what the judge is saying, and it's not explained. I think it's the pressure in the jury room. There's always a lead juror that, puts pressure on the other jurors. I mean, I think whether the defense attorney is mean or good looking or wearing a great suit, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors to it.
Well, since you're answering all these questions, I have another question for you that you could give me another answer to this one.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Okay, so you were in the real estate business. So if you have a house that is on a bluff overlooking the ocean in Southern California right now, and I'm watching these houses that are like falling like into the ocean because of the mudslides. If you are the second house in from the bluff, and the first house goes over,
you now are beachfront property.
right? And what happens to that first house? What happens if only half is there? Can they build a little smaller house?
I think you can't. I don't know what happens in California. I've never built out there, but I mean, if half the ground disappears, is compromised, you just can't.
So wait a second. So let's just say the first house on the bluff is an $80 million house.
Okay.
And the second house is 20 because they have the house in front of it. And now that house is now the house. Is that house, can he then go up to the bank and say, my house is now worth the $80 million because I am the house?
It's conceivable. Yeah, sure. But the question is, can he get insurance now? Because it is the house on the bluff, the next house to go down. I don't know if those people can get Lloyd's of London insurance or they're self-insured for something like that. It seems to me it would be very difficult.
All right, so if you're on the ocean, let's say you're in South Jersey, or if you're in the Hamptons or wherever.
Yeah.
And your house gets washed away. A big storm comes and it's beach erosion in your house, and you're the second house in from the beach. You're on beach block, but you're second house in. Are you now number one?
I think you are.
And the number one house can't say, wait, I'm building in front of you. What happens if they start putting more? They do that sand,
I just don't think you can get a suitable foundation in something that's slid away. I just don't. I just don't know.
When would you?
The federal government does give you $250,000 worth of flood insurance. Yeah, if your house is worth more than $250,000, and you don't have the proper insurance. But what a lot of
do you ever see these houses hanging? When do you move out? When do you say it's time to get out?
I think that the township building inspector comes and says you have to leave. I mean, there's code enforcement that make you leave, but there are insurance policies that have either a $5 million deductible or the first $5 million you have to pay. That may be the only way you get insurance. I don't really know how it works.
I mean, you see some of these houses that
It's crazy, isn't it? And you would think, why would somebody buy one of these houses?
By the way, when I'm in California, it doesn't just have to be over the ocean. It could be anywhere as you're going through the canyons.
Yeah.
And you see some of these homes on the stilts that overlook. I saw the guy that owned Herbalife. He had a house.
Yeah.
He had a house that like you just could see for miles with an infinity pool that went over the edge. Now you sit there and say, like, boy, why would you want to live there?
I mean, it's spectacular. Every day you wake up in paradise. It's unbelievable views. It's just a question whether it's going to stay there for your lifetime. And how about do you ever go up one of those driveways through the way they wind up?
Yeah.
If you're drunk, you and I don't drink anymore. But back in the day, we would have never made it up without crashing into ping-ponging off every wall.
Do you know, I was over a friend's house years ago, and he had one of those winding driveways. And I had a car that I had to put in reverse, and it was dark outside, and there was no lights on the side, so I had to back up.
Oh my God!
To the thing. So the next morning, he said to me, "Govy, you chewed up my front yard."
Right.
And my answer to him was, "And you let me drive home like that? Like you let me drive home like that?" And right away, that was it was like my get out of jail free card. I mean, like, geez. I mean, he had no answer to that.
Right. He should put lights there next time, too.
Yeah. His initials are BC.
Anyway, Govy, we're coming to the end. It's a great show. We really covered a lot of great stuff. We still have a lot of stuff. We didn't talk about Mayorkas. We didn't talk about Trump and NATO, but we'll get to it next week.
I got just two last things. I want to give a shout out to Tommy Paul. He won the Dallas tennis tournament last week. He's in Delray Beach, Florida for this tournament. He plays tomorrow night. Hopefully he can have 2 titles and go back to back.
Go Tommy Paul.
Tommy Paul and the D. Bethune guys. And my last thing I just got to ask you is I got to bring up Bernie Sanders. Being Jewish, I just want you to know something. I don't like anybody to say, after all, Bernie Sanders is Jewish. This guy is like, he voted against giving funding to Israel. This is a bad guy. He's a bad guy. I mean,
I have no comment.
I mean, him and Talib are taking
things.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah, it's bad call.
And if you watch the 10 Commandments, which will be coming on, by the way, with Easter coming up, there's a character, his name was Nathan, and he was a Jewish guy that the Egyptians put in charge of the slaves. And he actually had them praying to like a golden cow. And Bernie Sanders reminds me of Nathan.
That's funny.
He's Nathan.
I mean, that's a mess. I don't know what he's thinking, what he's doing. There were
Nathan.
Yeah, there were 3 people that did that, right?
Yeah, but he's Nathan, and that's why I also say Joe Biden is the emperor with no clothes. There's going to be a little kid that says, "Joe, you're naked," and he's going to realize that he's standing on the podium with no clothes on.
I think we're in a big mess, this country. Hopefully it'll all get straightened out. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Apple. We're on www.cuttyandgovy.com, our website, and thank you for listening.
See you later.
'Cause I'm only